The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly, this Ms. Prizian, tell us exactly what it is that the felony that you have reported to the court. You've given us the structure, and I think...
It's very simple. Paul Irie and myself, we're two experts, collectively have 83 years experience in the graphics and type business and typesetting and graphics and scanners and stuff like that. We're real experts. We actually know what we're doing. And in fact, many lawyers have used our stuff in part or in whole in filings that they've done. The 20 points of forgery is everything from I proved that the filing date of August 8th was the first mistake they made, that the number 10,641 that they assigned is really somebody else's, and it had to have been processed on the 11th of August, not the 8th, because of Susan and Gretchen Nordheit's birth certificates were processed on the 11th, and their numbers were 637 and 638. But what's unique about the number, the certificate number, is the Bates numbering machine they're metal wheels, and they proceed sequentially.
Right.
And the numbers can't touch, but also what was unique about it is the 06 in all three of their numbers were above the baseline. In other words, the wheel didn't seat properly, completely, probably because of dried up ink in the wheels. So Obama's has the same thing. The 06 is above the baseline, just like Gretchen Nordheit's, and his was 3 digits later. That means his had to have been processed the same day. If it was 3 days earlier, his number should have been 140 to 181 or 188 digits less, not 3 digits more. That's what nailed him. In fact, Mrs. Nordheit single-handedly, when she released copies of her two daughters' birth certificates, sunk him single-handedly. She did it. She nailed him.
Let me see if I can understand this again now. So now, Obama's birth certificate was dated on the 8th of August.
Accepted by the registrar on the 8th, correct.
With a sequential number of 1,641, right?
Yeah, actually 10,641.
I'm sorry, 10,641. All right. And now the Nordheich twins' birth certificate was submitted on the 11th of August, 3 days later.
10,637, 10,638.
With
correct.
A sequential number, 4 numbers earlier than Obama's number, which...
Impossible
to do, because the 3 days earlier the number should have been markedly different, and certainly not higher than, not lower than.
Correct. His hundreds digits should have been either 400 or 500 series, not 600.
Let me ask you one further question now. So
I wanted one important thing.
Okay.
In the beginning, the OBOTs were saying, well, they sorted these things. They did like that at the end of the month. They sorted by alphabetical. It was just all lies.
Right.
I literally read the state laws for all 50 states and their regulations, and it's on either VectorPub or ObamaForgeryBook.com, and you can read the 27 pages, all the states' laws. It comes down to filing, and registration. 16 of the states specifically say what it is, and it's basically the date that they date it, stamp it, and number it, and sign it is all the same day. So if you know the average number of births in that state up to that date, you can figure out either within a few hundred numbers of when it should be, what it should be, or if you only have the number, you could figure out a couple of days when the registrar stamped it. And that's what I did. I had 15 good registration numbers from legitimate birth certificates, and I was with one case I was dead on, and the other one's like the most is 11 days, and that was because of a holiday. So I was very good with it. I mean, within 3 to 4 days, 2 days, I was able to calculate it by one or the other. And you'll see the calculation in the affidavit. It's there. There's a table you can see it for yourself. The other mistakes that Obama made was everything from, on the typewriter side, it was the typewriter leading was varied, and it's supposed to all be 2 picas. Line spacing, word spacing, letter spacing. It was a bad cut and paste job that the forger did. The age of the father was a joke. They put down that Barack Obama Sr. was 25 years old when Barack Obama Jr. was born. problem was the father was really 27, not 25. The guy who did the research for this forgery did not live in Hawaii. And he must have got the records from Hawaii, where the father had said he was born 1936, June 18th, 1936, because in order to be classified as a foreign student, you have to be between the ages of 14 to 26. Now, that's the most logical reason why he lied. We'll never know for sure because they're all dead. We don't know. But it seems to be the logical reasons why he was trying to cut 2 years off of his real age. And
well, how did you determine his real age?
He didn't lie at the time Obama was born. He only did that starting in 1962 to 63 when he was applying to go to Harvard. But we have the import regulations when he came to the country, he filled out the card, and with his passport, and it says 1934, not 1936. So that's a huge mistake that the forgers did, that the age of the father is wrong. Another, you'll enjoy this one. These forms that Barack Obama Sr. had to fill out, on the form it says, well, okay, are you married and do you have any kids? So he puts on there, this is only like about 22 days after Obama supposedly born. Try not to laugh too hard. I don't want you to get a hernia. He winds up putting, for the birth, the son, he puts Roy Obama. He never at any time puts Barack Obama as his son. You'll see it on one form done 2 years later. I think it was 2 years later. And it was written in by hand by somebody else. It's not his handwriting. At no time does Barack Obama Sr. take credit for being the father of Barack Obama Jr. at any time. Now, that's really funny.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ridiculous that, unbelievable that the forger did not have the smarts that you have. And I'm not,
It's not the forger's fault. She didn't do the research. She was handed the information that was going to go in each one of the boxes. Another criminal, another conspirator, a principal in this thing, was assigned the job of doing the research for what was going to go onto that forgery. And he is mentioned in the sealed affidavit, as well as who the forger is and who the spy was or is. And Fuddy was mentioned there too. She's mentioned in the public one. And by some sheer miracle, she's also mentioned in the sealed one, the proof that she did know it and also did receive money for it. And
whoa. You're saying, now, is this in the sealed one or the open affidavit?
But since she's now deceased.
You're saying that Fuddy received money for helping to compile this forgery?
She must have. I'll explain why. Remember I told you I'm also an accountant. That was my training.
Right.
And my graduate as an accountant. Well, one of the OBOTs actually published her public financial disclosure statement for 2011 and 2012. Now, 2011 is filed actually in January of 2012, but it corresponds with the activities of 2011 when the birth certificate was released. And her gross was a little bit less than $100,000, $99,000 and some odd change. And I knew, being an accountant, I could calculate what, she was a single woman, what her federal income taxes, FICA, STI, property taxes, state income taxes is, or was for that year. And I came up, and she paid off about $100,000 on her mortgage, plus she did increase on her personal line of credit. So the net decrease in liabilities was like about 76 or 72,000 bucks. In short, calculating before expenses for food, clothing, and transportation, I also figured out what her mortgage was and the interest rate for it. She was short no less than $50,000 to $70,000. $50,000 for sure is what the calculation had, but with food and clothing and transportation, you can add another 10 to 15, maybe 20,000 bucks. So she couldn't account for that amount of money. So somehow she got an additional, at least that much money to draw down her mortgage and the other things. You see my point?
Yes, of course.
The IRS does the same thing that what I just did. But, of course, they have more complete records. They actually have the tax returns. And either somebody at the court here in Seattle released that information from the sealed affidavit and told somebody in the administration. And
whoa. You're saying that.
And the plane went down.
You're saying, you said it. You just said it.
Yeah, well, I know.
You just said it.
Let me tell you the complete thing. My friend Gary Sultan was a graduate from Northrop Aviation School in Los Angeles. Came up here, repairs planes. Worked for Boeing for well over 20 years on avionics and stuff like that. This plane's pretty good. And the owner of the airlines there said that the pilot told him that there was a catastrophic engine failure. And the next sentence was, as a report in the Hawaiian newspaper, that they heard a large bang in the engine and the whole thing failed. Now, it failed in a place where there was poor to non-existent radio reception and also deep water and a choppy sea. So the chances of recovering the engine and the plane was closer to nil. And chances are, if it went down and the other plane was not in the air, nobody would have known about the crash until the plane didn't land in Honolulu when it should have. They wouldn't have known where it went down. I think all somebody had to do was put a small bomb by the magnetos, blew the magnetos, the plane loses power completely. Becomes a dead stick item. And I think that when it entered that area, it was blown, so they would wind up killing everybody aboard. Fortunately for the survivors, except for Fuddy, the pilot was very good, landed it on choppy seas, landed the plane, and almost all of them got out alive. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. But if I'm correct about the bang and stuff like that, then the conspirators would have accomplished killing Fuddy and the deputy director. If you look at the structure, the organizational structure of the Department of Health, the deputy director is in charge of operations. He had to have known about the forgery and what instructions were given to the registrar or deputy registrar to do the other stuff. So if they killed both, they would have gotten rid of 2 testimonies. Now, it's possible others may start disappearing. So my affidavit did have an effect.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.